Hello, I hope you're doing well. Welcome back to more Rocket League news. I hope you guys all enjoy, of course, a power ranking episode. We're still 3 to 4 weeks outside of RLCS, but I wanted to make some Rocket League videos. I also want to preface by saying a few things out there. Number one, yes, I'm still having my coffee. I'm very jacked up right now. Hopefully you guys are having a beverage as well as you watch this. I am just super excited for RLCS. Yes, we're still a ways away, but I want to reinform you all where to come back to for RLCS weekly breakdowns of both NA and Europe. It will be on this channel, separate videos each and every week of RLCS. I'll be breaking down top plays, top players, underwhelming teams, underwhelming players, MVPs, so on and so forth, and I cannot wait. I am super excited. Never before I've been more excited than I am now for this upcoming season of RLCS. I will be covering NA and EU on this channel on a weekly basis, so once it does come around, if you guys want to come back, I would gladly hear your thoughts in the comment section down below. But before we get into today's episode, I do want to say very briefly, I know Rocket League is back and forth pretty much on a weekly to monthly basis. We have top teams fall to middle ground teams trading series back and forth from tournament to tournament. We all know how flustered Rocket League really is and how many great teams out there can lose and then win and lose and win. It's a great big back and forth battle. So when I do these power rankings, it's off the top of my head, it's in my opinion, and you guys can leave your thoughts down below. But as of right now, for the European RLCS season, I'm going to rank for all of you guys from number 8 to number 1 our top European teams for this RLCS season. So let's hop into it. The first one has to be, for me, one of the most obvious picks out there, that being Esports. This team making a recent roster change, as many teams in these rankings, and both, I guess, NA and EU have recently as well. That's going to be a lot, replacing Skyline on this roster. But remember, I talked about this multiple times last RLCS season. These guys barely hung on to their spot with just 2 wins during that season. With such a short season still, I was really hoping this season would be a bit revamped and have more matches. Esports, one of the few teams to be able to hang on with just 2 wins and a relegation survival run with the remaining duo besides Skyline. So still a roster I'm not very hopeful for, and I think a pretty solid number 8 pick. Yes, a lot of teams out there can play the upset team. I'm very confident though in number 8 Esports. As of right now, things can change throughout the season. Number 7 is also going to be another team out there who has made a recent roster change and a huge loss out there, that being former Red Reserve and now Triple Trouble. So back to the original name, they've actually replaced Speed with the likes of Casio. As many of you guys are aware of, Flipside has now taken Speed, as to no surprise with the great results they have seen with him. I think Casio is still a pretty decent replacement for him, but this close to a new season, the RLRS Triple Trouble, former Red Reserve, has to be at number 7 just due to a lack of experience so far in the RLCS season, and we just really don't know as of right now what they're truly capable of. And the number 6 spot might be a bit of a surprise for some of you guys out there. I still think one of our most inconsistent teams, a team I have struggled to actually have faith in ever since last RLCS season, our last 2 tournaments as well. If we're going off recent results at both WSOE as well as Leipzig, these guys, their biggest win, that being PSG, was over Esports. So for that reason only, in terms of inconsistency, a lack of faith in the roster as of right now, that's why PSG will be my number 6 spot. And when we crack our top 5, we really see our European talent. It is so strong right now compared to NA, and going into this season I would continue to favor EU over NA, although we saw some big upsets last season. Anyway, speaking of that, guys, Vitality is surprisingly our number 5 spot. Now I do so by saying, guys, yes, their recent results do speak miracles of this roster. KDOP has proven its worth for this team, especially at Leipzig. We saw their incredible run, but I think we both saw their offensive prowess as well as their scoreless style of play in that finals against Dignitas, and I am worried that they might revert to the mean and revert to what this majority roster did last season, which I was not impressed by. So yes, it's still a pretty solid run for Reynolds Vitality, but either way, due to inconsistency, I think KDOP has a lot of carrying to do on this roster. They have very high potential, like many of these top 5 teams do, but because of that, they're at my number 5 spot and just barely ahead of them. When we speak about inconsistency, a team who struggles offensively at times, and it certainly shows, number 4 will have to be, that being TSM. One of the biggest roller coaster teams easily. We've simply put, if they go off offensively, I still think an easily top 5 team in the entire world, but when they aren't hitting shots, we've seen it time and time again. It can be very tough to watch. They struggle heavily against North American teams, which is not a European fashioned thing, and they washed out at both WSOE and at day 1 for Leipzig. It was very disappointing to see. They are certainly, of our top 5 teams, the most shaky looking team, but still, when they are offensively on, when iGnite can land those shots, when their shooting percentages are high, this team can can contend with anybody out there, but as of right now, I'm still a bit tipsy-turvy about them, and for that reason, Reynolds and them could definitely switch spots. Either way, though, I think our top 3 are certainly very solidified. Again, they're all going to be pretty closely ranked as well. At number 3 spot, though, going to be Flipside or now ex-Flipside, a terrible story out there. They still might be signed by the time the season does start, as some of these RLCS teams will be. We'll talk about North American and European teams in the way future who should be signed probably before RLCS season does start. Savage. But anyway, besides that, though, we did see, of course, Flipside acquiring speed from that former Red Reserve, now Triple Trouble roster, and he has proven time and time again, both at WSOE as well as Leipzig, these guys are consistent contending roster, and especially WSOE taking that title, a huge, I would say a pretty big surprise for that roster, and they showed their potential, and I trust that potential. They pick up speed, they acquire him, they test him out, and they keep him, and that was a big motivating factor, especially for these guys who in the past 3 to 4 months, and with speed, they're looking in top form that they have ever looked all time. Even being released by Flipside, they are still looking better than they likely have ever have. In the number 2 spot, a team I am so always hyped to talk about. That's going to be the trio for formerly of Team Savage. Should be signing with an organization out there sometime soon. Should be a surprise for some of you guys, but should easily not be a surprise for many of you who have seen these guys over the past year just grow together. Now, I talk about this team because they are one of my favorites. I'm a bit biased here at the number 2 spot, but either way, they have definitely, I believe, earned the respects of many players out there, especially when you look at Leipzig. Yes, they come away with a 4th place finish, but how they did was incredible. They had the hardest and the most impressive run, I think, of any team there. They beat Flipside, they beat Cloud9, and dare I say, convincingly so. They take down G2 in the quarterfinals, and they take Dignitas, I would still argue, if not number 2, number 1 in the world. They take them to a Game 7 overtime. And people overlook this constantly. This is an RLRS team last season, now RLCS, who is looking incredibly dominant. Their cohesion on the field, especially, I just really am motivated by these guys. I cannot wait to watch them during RLCS. Do I think they will flop? No. And I think they're going to be a consistent playoff running team from here on out. And again, they should be signed sometime soon, further pushing these guys mentally to hopefully achieve more and more. And that's why the number 2 spot, Team Savage, I think, will be the surprise this RLCS season. And if they don't place top 4, I think it'll be an overall disappointment. Now, very lastly as well, though, of course, for EU, we look at consistency, we look at experience, and that's why number 1 for me has to be Team Dignitas. Because yes, it was maybe a pretty close showdown in that finals against the Vitality and for Leipzig, but they take the title overall. They show us all what experience really does do, because there was a moment there, right? Especially a very strong start in that last series against Vitality. They definitely struggled against that series for Team Savage as well. Team Savage almost taking them down, but they showed the consistency. They showed for once, of course, that lack of nerves, that strong consistency to actually finish out series. And during a time in that Vitality series, they were actually shut out for nearly 15 minutes, but they close it out either way. Dignitas, in terms of experience, of course, Yukio now being an additional member to that roster, I still think, though, the overall prowess experience, and especially in terms of being on the grand stage, being at the grand finals of events out there, I am certainly having to favor these guys as a number 1 spot. But again, remember, our top 5 teams are all interchangeable. It really does, it kind of bounces off these first few weeks. It's going to be a very short RLCS season as per usual. The first few weeks will be telltale signs as to who our true top 5 teams will be, but I am very hyped and I'm very confident in my rankings so far. But do me a favor, if you guys want to, I'm very interested in what you guys think the power rankings will be. Rank your favorites in the comment section down below, from number 8 to number 1, from Mouse Sports to Dignitas. I am very curious what you guys think out there. As always, my name is Jake. If you want to stop by later today, I'll be doing North America power rankings as well, and I really truly do think in terms of Europe to North America, Europe this year is looking stronger than ever. North America a bit flippy floppy, but a lot of teams out there in Rocket League surely are. As always, my name is Jake. Hope you guys all enjoy. Until next time, drink your coffee, and I'll see you then.